Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynn@pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I got so much stuff here that I want to talk to you about, and I don't know where to start. So I do think yesterday the testimony of Michael Cohen will be one of those historic moments. It will. Not quite John Dean-esque, but there was a guy sitting there on Capitol Hill and frankly, quite clearly saying that he had full knowledge that the President of the United States committed a criminal act. Or two, or three, or four, or five, maybe a few thousand, who knows? Unbelievable. There were moments that were memorable. I can give you my list, I think. I want to say that I'm a great fan of Elijah Cummings now. I thought he was masterful in his handling of what could have been an extraordinarily volatile session. I was taken by his humanity more than anything. And his closing statement. Now here is a man who went into what he knew would be this huge story with millions of eyes on him and potential history being made. And I don't know many people who would not have written down their closing remarks, knowing that that might be something that is, again, potentially historic, wanting to say the right thing, get it right. And I was blown away by the fact that he hadn't written anything down, or if he did, he threw it away. And trusted himself to speak literally from his heart, not as much from his head, but from his heart. And it was very moving. I was in tears. Michael Cohen was in tears. I am quite sure that Michael Cohen and I were not alone, and I believe Cummings himself was in tears or close. If you have not seen it, there was an eloquence to it. You know, part of me always wants, in those big moments, to have something written down so that you say exactly what you want to say, but there was somehow more power in the fact that it was a plea, it was a prayer, it was one of those moments where you see a true patriot, where you see somebody who cares mightily about his country and sees the jeopardy that it's in. I found him amazing. I thought the Republicans were appalling. You know, why would you think I wouldn't? They mounted no defense that I ever heard of any of the accusations that Cohen was making about Trump. There was very little pushback. All they had, the only card they had, was that Cohen was going to jail for lying. So why should we believe a word you're saying now? That's all they had. And they used it as a cudgel at times, making themselves look really awful, I thought. There was one great exchange where some jerk congressperson said to Cohen, "You call Mr. Trump a cheat in your testimony. What do you call yourself?" And Cohen said, "A fool." That was like Shakespearean, I thought. A fool. And in that regard, Cohen, on two occasions, I think, once in his closing statement and then in at one point in a back and forth, he said something to the effect of, "Hey, look," to one of the Republicans who was desperately trying to spin things so that Trump didn't look so bad. So it was all just this lying Michael Cohen. And Cohen said something to the effect, "Look, I've been where you are. You're doing what I've done for the last 10 years. You're trying to fix things for him. And you're going to," he warned people, "I'm warning you. It doesn't end well trying to fix things for this con man." That was some pretty riveting stuff. Milton has sent me, but it's a YouTube of his closing statement. Thank you. I'm not going to play it because I don't know that we have time. I refer it to you. It's on YouTube. I don't know. What else? I'm trying to think. It was interesting seeing some of the Congress people, especially some of the newer Democrats who had to wait all day to get their 5 minutes of questioning in. And there are some impressive women of color. Impressive. And speaking of women of color, there was, of course, that unbelievable moment where a Republican senator, Congressman Mark Meadows, brought in a black woman who works in HUD and has worked with the Trump family and in his administration, and had her like stand behind him as an example of a black person who adores Donald Trump and says he's not a racist. And so there was, to counter Cohen saying he was a racist, he had this black woman standing there. She's just standing there. Didn't say boo. Standing there as a prop. They had lots of props. They had one guy actually had a poster that said "Liar, liar, pants on fire." Yeah. And there was one name that kept coming up, and this is the guy whose testimony I want to hear, and I'm sure I will, because every time Cohen was asked, who would be able to corroborate what you are saying about Trump doing this and Trump doing that, and money being exchanged here, or these funds being put there. And the answer was always the same. Weisselberg. We must have heard that name 20,000 times, Allen Weisselberg. So that is the CFO of Trump's company. So that is the guy that knows everything. And I don't know what he'll be allowed to talk about in public testimony, but I want to hear that. And I know somebody gave him immunity or some limited immunity, so he would be inclined to share as share all. And the one takeaway is that we were looking at Michael Cohen, who's going to be going to jail now for years. He appeared in many ways a broken man. He's going to jail. And he's going to jail in part for a crime that he says Allen Weisselberg and President Trump committed with him, right? Yeah. This is the campaign finance. That's one of the reasons he's going to jail. So how can just that, only that guy goes to jail for that crime? What about the others who took part in that specific crime? And Weisselberg is one of them, and he'll have to acknowledge that in testimony, and that'll be 2 people directly involved who will directly implicate the President of the United States in a crime. Oh, anyway, I thought it was like, and then there's a, at one point, I forgot who said it, somebody said, I mean, this is hearing about how Trump operates. I mean, you just feel like you've been slimed. You do. This guy he makes con men look good. I mean, that's too good a term for him. He is such a repulsive sleaze operator. And if he avoids jail, I'll be stunned. Unless he, manages to. The Southern District of New York is going to get him. Other courts are going to get him now that his financials are coming out. And speaking of the impressive people we sort of saw in action at that hearing, I was truly impressed, and I know I wasn't alone, by one of the last questioners by virtue of her lack of seniority, and that was Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She was, I thought, one of the best, if not the best questioner, person who used her 5 minutes not to grandstand, as many did, not to grandstand, but rather to ask penetrating questions that actually moved things further. She was focusing on his tax returns, and I found it really riveting, and her command of the moment impressive as hell. I can see why the Republicans are afraid of her. Man, she was impressive. No, my sense is Donald Trump will go down with, they'll get him like they've gotten, like the feds get, other gangsters and racketeers. He'll go down because of the RICO laws. There's no doubt. And somebody said, and I thought, well, I mean, that's just it. I mean, the president is really running a racket. And he is a racketeer. And it's the Racketeering Act, RICO, that's going to take him down. Now, granted, that'll be after he leaves the protective confines of the White House. But if he avoids jail, once he does, justice will not have been served. We have a caller. Caller, go ahead, please.
Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm okay.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi.
Did you happen to see that one guy? I don't know what his name was. I don't know. But he said he came to Washington to fix it. And I kept thinking to myself, yeah, you fixed it. The fix is in. It's fixed towards the rich. But the bastard, they had the House and the Senate, so what was he fixing? They were control of the House and Senate. And then he was saying this spectacle we're today, and what the hell does he think's going on in the White House? When the Republicans go so low, you don't think he'd go any lower, but man, did they go low. It was just unbelievable. And that Jordan, piece
God.
of shit of a human. Can't stand the man.
What's with him? Does he have like some kind of brand like Fetterman, and that he doesn't ever wear? He's always in shirt sleeves. It's like his brand. What a vile character! I could see coming sometimes when they'd end up in a two-shot. This is the ranking Republican member of the committee, he was disgusting.
Yeah, it was hard to take watching him. I had to mute it every once in a while. Yeah. But Cummings is always great. I love that guy. He's great, and he just did a great job. But the rest of them, they just looked like slime balls. It was just unbelievable. Now the Democrats looked strong, I thought. So I think they did their stuff.
I thought so generally too. Hey, thanks for. I agree with you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye. And in that line, Little Tony writes, "There's nothing like a congressional hearing to make me despise the Republicans even more than I already do, especially Jim Jordan." What an awful person. They had no cards to play. And, here is the direct. I'm sorry, I'm looking at stuff I tweeted myself. This is Cohen's remark that I paraphrased. I'm responsible. He's talking to one of the Republicans who's trying to nail him. I'm responsible for your silliness because I did the same thing you're doing now for 10 years. I protected Mr. Trump. I can only warn people. The more people that follow Mr. Trump, he always says Mr. Trump, as I did blindly, are going to suffer the same consequences that I'm suffering. Try to clean up his messes. Do his dirty work. Shield him, and you'll go down. It was like, a voice from... I just, wow. I thought it was pretty riveting TV. Somebody else summed up the hearing thusly, for people like us. We would say, wow, that showed that that whole hearing showed the president may have, in fact, committed treason, committed bank fraud, committed tax fraud, committed charity fraud. We already know that. He might have even laundered money for Russian mobsters, and pretty sure he committed campaign finance violations. That's what we got out. That's what they were focused on, the Democrats on the committee. The Republicans, meanwhile, seem to be focused on the fact that Michael Cohen might get a book deal. Okay. I mean, God knows. I mean, you don't need to hear me yap about it when there's so much yapping going on and from people. I have to admit, I was not expecting the climax of the day's and night's news to be Trump folding in Hanoi and flying back with his tail between his legs. What was that all about? I guess he just went so that he could again tell us that he has the utmost respect for this vile, murderous son of a bitch from North Korea. And much like, exactly like he stood there with Putin saying he believed when Putin said he didn't do anything. I take him at his word, said the president. And he takes Kim Jong-un's word that he didn't know anything about Otto Wambier. Is that the poor dead young man's name? So he absolved one of that death. What is it with him that? Okay, well, never mind. Okay, so incredible. We are in for a year from hell. I just want to tell you. Yeah, Rob just says not one of the Republicans questioned Trump's actions in any way. That is true. And it was stunning. Stunning. Let me get into some other things, if I might. Another thought I had. So, talk about a total miscalculation. Talk about wasted money and all that. Think of all the money spent, all the networks and media that went with Trump to Hanoi. And yesterday, I happened to, I tend to watch NBC Nightly News, if I watch any, because Jeopardy comes on right after it. And so I did have it on. I wanted to see what they would do with this big news day, knowing that their anchor, Lester Holt, was in Hanoi, where the big story supposedly was, but in fact wasn't. And a good third of the top of their newscast was Lester Holt standing in Hanoi, throwing it back to Washington to cover Michael Cohen, not the president. So, as I was saying yesterday, this is, more than anything, something that would make Trump insane. That he was upstaged by his lackey, Michael Cohen. And so there's Lester Holt in Hanoi. I'm sure, if you could see the bubble of what he's thinking, his head is, what the that's a long flight. There's a long flight back. There's no news. If I'd been there, I'd be with the bigger story. Yeah. So they're all coming back now. There was no reason to go, as it turns out, other than to see, again, how hapless the president of the United States is. And something that I've been noting forever, if you do watch the news, whether cable or network, every break introduces you to another horrible affliction you didn't even know existed, and some pharmaceutical that will allay it in some way. And it's nothing but these drug commercials, one after the other, and they all look the same. They're always people who apparently are suffering sometimes from fatal diseases and or horrific chronic illnesses. And I've never seen such a happy bunch of human beings in my life. I mean, they are living life. They are at the market. They're riding their bikes. They're beautiful. And all it ever is a commercial about some horrible affliction and a pill that you can take for thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars probably, which may cause premature death, anaphylactic shock, who knows what, this, that, and the other thing. Don't take it if you're taking these things too, and all these warnings. And so clearly, the demographic, there are no young people watching news because marketers do a lot of research to find out how they get to their demographic. The market for those drug ads are old people, old sick people. So I guess I just want to tell you that if, like me, on occasion you watch the news, you are part of a demographic that is viewed as old and sick, okay? So the joys of traveling. I just traveled from the West Coast back here to Pittsburgh and there and back, and that maybe with a stop in between is, that's like 5 hours in the air about. And I just find that, man, I am not a good traveler. I just get, I can't stand being stuck in that tube. So I'm not a good traveler, and I'm always anxious when I travel, and not because I worry that the plane's going to fall out of the sky or anything like that. I'm always anxious because I know I'm in for an unpleasant experience. The airport's unpleasant, this is unpleasant, everything's unpleasant, and I just, you don't look forward to it. And also, knowing you're in that tube, and there's always people hacking and coughing and sneezing around you, and you're thinking, oh, geez, I'm going to die, I'm going to get the flu. So, you wouldn't want to travel with me. But because I was out in California with my sister, we had to make a stop at, I forgot what this place was called, but it was, the pot store. So it's pretty amazing. I think I talked about it last year when I first went. So this time I bought a bunch of stuff. And you buy, so it comes in a box about like this, and there's a box, and in the box, in plastic and stuff, is a cylinder filled with this amber-colored oil, which is actually marijuana, having been reduced to that or something. And then you have a vape that you stick it in, and that's how you smoke it. You can also get little jars, clear little jars with actual buds, big hunks of marijuana in them. And there's various kinds, so they say, would you like a mellow kind of feeling, or would you like a creative, like kind of feeling? Would you like pineapple flavor, or would you like this? It's so I must admit I got 3 things, and then I thought, now it's legal here, but it ain't legal in Pennsylvania. So how do I get this through TSA? What's the smart way to do this? My sister, who's done this many times, said, just do this, do that. You see, you can pack it in you're checking a bag, put it in there. Just put it in. Now, a lot of people would have, I just put it in my bag. I put them in different parts of my bag, but they weren't much covered up. And I was a little nervous, but then I thought I'd check the bag. So anyway, when I get back to Pittsburgh and I open my bag, this is what was lying on top of my clothes and pot. And it says, Transportation Security Administration, Notice of Baggage Inspection. And my blood ran cold. I thought, oh my God, they opened my bag and looked through it. And so I went pawing through my bag and pulled out the glass jar of pot, which was still there, pulled out another vial of pot. It was all still there. They were simply, then I read further, to protect you and your fellow passengers, the TSA is required by law to inspect all checked baggage. As part of this process, some bags are opened and physically inspected. Your bag was among those. Your bag and its contents during the inspection may have been searched for prohibited items. At the completion of the inspection, the contents were returned to your bag. So I just want to say, I mean, I want to thank whoever on the TSA looked at my bag, because they could have, as a person, confiscated my pot, I think. Right? Yeah, probably. Anyway, just wanted to let you know that if you're traveling back from a state that has legal marijuana, TSA doesn't give a shit. That's the lesson. TSA doesn't give. They're looking for stuff that brings planes down. They're looking for explosives. They are not looking, or weapons. They are not looking for my pot. So that's something I learned, and I wanted to pass that information on to you. Okay? Oh, God. So, oh, God. You know what? I got my hair cut yesterday. I mean, just sort of trimmed. I hadn't had it cut in years. And the guy put it in what's called a French braid. And I slept on it last night. And I thought I secured it. And I just happened to touch my hair in the back. And it is totally, here, I'll show you the disaster that's happening back there. It's totally gone. What happened to it? I got pins and stuff coming out of my hair. Damn, look at, and it's all screwed up. Okay, I just want to say I'm having some difficulties. We have a caller. Hello.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm getting the feed so late. I wanted to comment on the checked bags, but you're talking about your beautiful hairpins.
Go ahead, Lynn, to the checked bags. What?
Lynn,
yes.
We have to make this clear to people. What is going on with what happened to you? It's with checked bags. It's not like when you walk through and they're like, oh, you can't have water, or you can't have the shampoo or toothpaste.
Right.
No, these are checked bags, and I get that all the time. And, okay, maybe you have your suspicions about why they checked yours, but my baggage usually, it's like a Delsey, one of those soft, it's a hard kind of soft zip-up bag. But I have like 2 microphones in there, because I don't ever like to use any microphones from any clubs, because who knows who hawkered on those things. They're so germy. I always have a couple tambourines in case one breaks. I always have 2 sets of maracas in case they break. I play every night. We play 4 different keys of harmonica, so I have 2 sets of those. So all these things, when they x-ray my bag, looks like a nuclear bomb. They're like, what the hell is this? Oh, it's just 2 microphones. What the hell is this? 2 tambourines, maracas, harmonics. They don't know what the hell it is. But then I'm sure you know the stories of, bands always have writers. Here's what you want in your dressing room: water, tea, Pedialyte, tequila, whatever. What
are yours?
But people don't know. There's another funny thing that promoters do. And this promoter years ago, a funny thing promoters do is they'll just put something added in there that you didn't ask for, just like as a kind of like funny joke. So years ago, this promoter left in my dressing room this rubber chicken. I don't know if people can picture it. Like, it's like a yellow rubber chicken with, a red beard. And he's right here. It's Senor Pollo. So if you squeeze it, it makes that noise, right? And so I adopted Senor Pollo as kind of our mascot. And so every place we went, as soon as I finished packing, Senor Pollo, it's Mr. Chicken, in Espanol. Senor Pollo. So Mr. Chicken, I just put him on stage with us everywhere we went. I think since like 2000, I think. Senor Pollo is very old, but he's still the same one, and he still has a little bit of breath. He has more breath left in him than Bernie Sanders. Or Wolf Blitzer. Actually, Senor Pollo actually sounds very much like
Wolf Blitzer.
But here's the thing, though. Somehow I'm flagged now, and almost every time we travel, I always get one of those things, those little forms that you got on the top of my
Luggage.
everything that's packed. But now, nothing. You can see they don't even touch anything. They never even lift up anything. And I'm a total anal retentive packer, you know. Everything's like folded up, and here's this T-shirt, and really, blah, 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 and really tight. So I can tell they haven't touched anything. All they do is, like, open it up, which, you know, you're not allowed to lock your suitcases anymore. So I just use, like, a twisty tie.
Yeah.
So they open up the zipper, and then they see Senor Pollo laying there. And then they put the form right on top of him, like it's this obit. I have so many pictures of these. I sent you one. That was an early one when they ripped it up. But I have so many pictures of these every time, and I open my suitcase, and there's just the form on Senor Pollo's stomach. And they're like, okay, we already know what's in here. There's some microphones and tambourines.
Funny.
It is so weird, though. I think maybe they just pick up Senor Pollo and squeeze him to make sure he's not full of heroin or some sort of exotic snake I'm trying to
smuggle into the country.
Over the border.
Funny stuff.
Isn't it weird, though? So wait, so you got yours, and what did you think when you opened? Did you notice whether anyone was going through your stuff, or you just saw the form?
I saw the form and my blood ran cold, and then I started ransacking my luggage to see if the stuff was there, and it still was. And I agree with you. It didn't really. I mean, if they look through my stuff, I'm not an anal retentive like you in packing, but it didn't appear to be, you know, gone through. So what they probably do is they lift up the top and just throw one of these things in and put it back down. Do you think?
Well,
they don't care about the pot.
Look, I definitely think since fucking W. Bush and after 9/11, never forget, they instead of having actual people that knew what they were doing at the TSA. Well, it wasn't even called the TSA then. They turned it into the TSA. And that's a lot of the Democrats' fault, too. They're like, oh, let's just turn it over to the government instead of having these people that are actually knew what they were doing. And now it's just turned into a total joke. I think they just randomly pick out things to X-ray. They randomly pick out people to pat down. And they totally have me on a list because they know all they're going to do is open up the thing and see, oh, it's Senor Pollo. Okay, put the thing on him. It's so fucking nuts.
I love it. I love it.
So that's why I'm going to get into the business of trying to smuggle exotic snakes into this country from somewhere.
Yeah, you might as well. If you're going to be on the watch list, you might as well, you know, engage in some nefarious activities. Well, give my best to Senor Pollo. He's he's entertained us all. Michael, thank you.
He's our good luck charm.
I'm sure he is.
Our mascot. I know I will be safe wherever I fly as long as he's in my checked on baggage.
All right, you. Bye.
All right, love you, Lynn.
Love you
later.
too. Bye. Michael's band, by the way, if you don't know, is the Cynics, and they spend most of their time in Europe. And Laura says, I love your callers. They're so interesting. The musician had me chuckling. His TSA stories are so funny. Yes, they were. And Laura also says, and I wondered why so many drug commercials were on the news, and now I know. I keep telling people I'm old, and they tell me I'm not. Well, now I have proof, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that about you can't lock your I never lock my bags anyway, but I guess that makes sense because they do have to get in. So, okay. Oh, I was going to show's gotten away from me. I'm embarrassed that I can't pronounce this name properly. but this is a guy who many of you probably do know the pronunciation. Is it Karamu Brown or Karamu Brown? Anyway, I'm going to go for Karamu Brown. He is on the Emmy. He's on the Emmy-nominated Netflix reboot of Queer Eye, which I don't watch. He's the television host on that, and he is openly gay. He is a black man. He is a father. He's a psychotherapist. He does all this stuff, and then I think he's sort of like a motivational kind of a speaker, and that's what he's going to be doing on March 1st. Is that Friday? March 1st at the August Wilson Cultural Center. The focus will be, I guess he's speaking, and he's calling it Know Thyself, using your uniqueness to create success. So if you like that kind of thing, not for me. This one's not for me. Karamu Brown, March 1st. I mean, it shows they don't miss anything. Never assume that what's going on at the August Wilson Center is like, I don't know, because it's August Wilson, like a play. It could be. And it could be a lecture. And it could be some extraordinary singer or jazz band, or it's just a cultural center. And I think it's underutilized, so I want you guys to get over there. Okay? Just saying. We have another caller. Hello, caller.
Hi, Lynn. It's Ray in Lawrenceville. How are you?
I'm fine, Ray. How you doing?
Hey, good. Hey, listen, I was listening. It's a funny, those TSA bag checks. I get those occasionally as well. I really think they just are required to open up, 8 an hour, and they just slap them open and slap them closed.
That's
just
what
to
I'm
complete
thinking.
a form, But, Lynn, tell me, why don't you have your medical marijuana card here in PA?
Because I'm too lazy. And
Oh, come on.
I'm too lazy, and I've gotten marijuana all my life, so I'm just going to keep getting it like I always got it. And also I have to tell you, I've sampled some. I don't think it's as good as the stuff I get on the black market. I don't.
No, I haven't found that. I sort of just wanted to stop dealing with the seedier side of it, because I'm old enough that I don't need to wait for somebody in a bar or any such things,
Oh, I'm still meeting people behind buildings. Yeah, right. I mean,
oh no,
no,
yeah.
I got no. I totally know. I mean, the people who deal the drugs often now, I mean, are respectable human beings who have a side gig. Yeah, doing that, right?
Sure, but if you get your medical marijuana card and then you are in possession of the stuff you bought from your your cousins,
Yeah.
Now there's no worry, right?
Okay, but I've never worried. I'm not a young black man. See, I never
but Lena,
worried.
you and I both.
Yeah.
You and I both could probably stand in downtown Pittsburgh and light a pipe up, and because of who we look like.
Right.
No one's going to bother us, right?
I have lit a pipe up, as you say, at PNC Park.
Sure.
Public.
Yes.
I have done it at the Duquesne Club.
Okay, you got me there. I've not done that.
That's my favorite. In the bathroom.
With Mr. Green? Were you there with your buddy Green?
No, I was there. No, it was not when I was there. I was actually at some unbelievable, boring event, and I was losing my mind, and so I ran off to the bathroom, and then thought, hey, it'd be a riot to actually smoke pot in the Oh, I just did it because I'm a risk taker when it comes to pot. I've always been.
That case was truly medicinal. You needed that.
Yes, right. It was medicinal.
Yeah.
I was anxious and bored out of my mind, and yeah. So I'm sure we're appalling some people here, but
Well, but let me get that message out. The reason I was calling was that the process is painless. It does cost you an initial $250 and then $50 a year afterwards. But the more people who go from black market to legitimate, the quicker they will legitimize it for recreational use. The more people piling on, it creates a way. So I encourage anyone who even considered it.
Yeah, but you have to have it. Don't they have a specific? The Pennsylvania law is you have to have a specific kind of medical issue.
Oh, you walk in with a limp, they're giving you the card. Trust me. The doctor who I saw didn't even have a stethoscope. He had a laptop. Yeah.
So when you go to one of these places that they've set up, like there's one downtown, there's a doctor there, or they send you off to.
No, here's how it works. I'll give you a quick, because I know you've gone to other subjects. Let's say just down the district, there's a place called CY. They're a dispensary.
Right.
And next to the dispensary is an information center. You just walk in the information center, and someone, a pleasant young person, will enter you into the database and make an appointment with a registered doctor. All right. Mm-hmm. For free, no money yet. You go to the doctor, and he checks your records and says, yes, I'll go on the same database and authorize you. Then you give him $200. You go home, go on the database, and now you're able to give the state $50. At that point, it's all done. They ship you a card. In 3 days, you have your card. Now, you go back down to the dispensary, which is next door to the information center,
right,
and buy what you want.
You really can buy what you want. They don't steer you in certain, what is your affliction, you should have this, blah,
You can do it online. You can literally do it online.
Okay.
I want this much of that, and then walk in and pick it up and walk out.
And you think
I'm afraid it's a bit of a sham, but,
yeah. You think the quality really is...
Everybody's sitting around there kind of coughing and limping, pretending to be sick. And, why do you do this?
I have a number of friends, that have the card.
Sure.
Yeah. And there's no, is it like a prescription, though, in that you can't order 20 tons of it, right? You have to just do one.
Well, they have an ungodly limit. It's like 3 ounces a month or something like that. And if you're buying it in the liquid forms, as you were talking about, like the vaporizing, they measure the weight to such small milligrams. I can't imagine using that much. Yeah.
Well, that's you, Ray. Speak for yourself.
Anyway. Well.
Okay. All us old podheads. Right. Thank you.
All right. Well, yes, yeah. Love the show. Talk to you soon. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye. Clearly, it's going to be legalized for recreational use soon, and it's economics that are going to drive it. It is insane to pass up the tax dollars. Milton, Milton says the best pot story is when I got busted at the Hillary Clinton rally. And then Milton says, as a black man, that still amazes me. Yeah, that's why I say I'm an old white lady. And even when I was a young white lady, I never really concerned myself. I maybe should have. But that's white privilege. That is white and gender in that regard privilege, I think. I don't know. I do know that. But, I got busted by the city cops and the Secret Service. They confiscated my stuff, too. And I was not nervous at all. That's maybe, Milton, the thing that... So they're going through my purse. I think, oh, shit. I knew that I was done. But I wasn't in any way nervous. Like, I didn't see myself being handcuffed and, taken to jail or beaten up or anything like that. I thought the worst that was going to happen is they'd, take my pot and tell me to go home. And they took my pot and let me into the boring Hillary Clinton thing. I don't know. Yeah. And as long as there are all these black men wasting away in our jails for doing nothing more than what I've done all my life, Ray's done, apparently, all his life, my sister, all us white folks with no concerns at all, living our lives. It's obscene. I have a caller. Okay. Hello, caller. Hello.
Oh, hello.
Yes.
The thing that wasn't even over yet. The one that's telling me you can get in, you'll be on the host after repeat.
Oh.
That was even,
I don't know.
that wasn't even done yet, and I'm on the
Here
air.
you are.
I don't fly that often. In fact, very rarely. But a couple of years ago, on my way to Florida for one of those destination weddings my friend was having, and I told her, because I think the last time I was on a plane was probably in 2001, back at because I can remember tiptoeing through the X-ray machine, like I was like looking really guilty, like tiptoeing slowly like a cartoon, and but I told her, I said, "Oh man, I hate to do this, but I'm going to get stopped and I'm going to get the super frisk, right?" She goes, "Why?" I said, "Because I look Arab." "Oh, you don't look Arab." I said, "You haven't seen enough Arabs." I had a beard at the time. I said, "You haven't seen enough Arabs." But sure enough, I get pulled aside and I get the super frisk, the whole thing. I'm expecting it, so I'm not offended. I'm not worried about it. I knew it was going to happen. But the funny thing is, that's going from Pittsburgh to Florida. From Florida to Pittsburgh, standing in the long, long line, it's weaving back and forth like an accordion. And I turned to one of the TSA people. I went, "Is that one open?" I'm probably like, I don't know, 30 people deep. I said, "Is that one open?" She says, "Yes." And I just walk over to it, and people are like looking at me. I'm like, "You freaking lemmings." There was 3 of these things, and everybody was going to these 2. And the TSA, I guess he's getting a kick out of it. I went, "Is that one open?" I moonwalked into that one. I took off my shoes and moonwalked to put my bag down. And people were like looking. I went, you lemmings." And I think that's one of those things from not knowing what's going on. You know what I mean? How I'm supposed to act.
Yeah.
I looked over there and I went,
Actually
that's
helped.
easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was smart enough. I checked every bag. I didn't take anything on the plane. I took my laptop on the plane and didn't even listen to it. I had a good conversation, actually, for those couple of hours. I said, I'm not taking anything on the plane. Everything's going underneath. I don't want them to have to, rip, my bags open to make sure I'm not a terrorist. So I just put everything down. It was only a couple hours. Didn't no overhead anything,
That is
I'm
the way to
not the
go.
most
I mean,
guilty.
that is really nice not to have to worry about all that crap. Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's my airplane story. I'll call you in another 15 years to tell you another one.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
All right.
Bye. I wish I traveled by air that seldomly. What's the word I was looking for there? Rarely. I have Catherine has sent me this a Langston Hughes poem that is called Minstrel Man, and she said that she was in a group, a program for Black History Month, and they were singing songs, and I guess somebody put this Langston Hughes poem to music, and she says, after all this stuff about blackface, I thought you'd be interested in this beautiful poem from a black man's perspective. So here is Langston Hughes' Minstrel Man. It's very short. Because my mouth is wide with laughter, and my throat is deep with song, you do not think I suffer after I have held my pain so long. Because my mouth is wide with laughter, you do not hear my inner cry. Because my feet are gay with dancing, You do not know. I die. You do not know. I die. Wow. Oh, dear. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to sigh in your ear. You might have missed this, given all the news that's thrown everything else out. Two little items, I think, that we can close things out with. Rahm Emanuel is the mayor of Chicago, but he's not going to be for much longer, and good riddance to him. I don't think anybody particularly enjoyed his tenure, including him. And so Tuesday, there was a election. And there were it looked like the Democratic presidential primary coming up, because there were 5,000 people on the ballot. It was wide open. Actually, there were 14. There were 14 candidates for mayor. And the results were the two top vote getters will face each other in a runoff election in April. And if you didn't hear, the one certainty is that the next mayor of Chicago will be a black woman, because the two top vote getters were both black women. And so that'll be a first. There has been a woman mayor of Chicago before, back in the days, I think the 80s or something. And Jane, I'm blanking on her name, Burns, right? Not Jane Burns. That's a friend of mine. Jane somebody, or who the hell knows, who cares. Anyway, these two women, though, I just want to point out, are both progressives. One has never held elective office, ever, so that's unusual, and she is the top vote getter. Jane Byrne, it is Jane Byrne. Well, I have a friend, Jane Burns, but yes, Jane Byrne was. Yeah, I never realized. Yeah, you're right. So the one who's never held elective office is also the younger one. She's 56 years old. Just want to let you know, Lori Lightfoot. She would not only be the first black woman to be mayor of Chicago, she would be the first openly gay person to hold that office. And she is a former federal prosecutor. So there's Lori Lightfoot is either going to be the mayor of Chicago or Toni Preckwinkle. I don't have anything against Toni Preckwinkle, but I hope it's not her, because I find that name unpleasant. Preckwinkle? I'm hoping for Lightfoot. I like that name, Mayor Lightfoot. I like that. Anyway, Preckwinkle is more of a established Chicago pol, although she is considered progressive, but she has been immersed in government forever. And that is not the case with Lori Lightfoot, who, and here's something interesting about this, because Chicago is such a segregated city. But both of these women, these black women, were leading not just in black neighborhoods, but in white neighborhoods as well. So this is good. I'll tell you, black people are going to save us if we get saved. I'm thinking of Elijah Cummings yesterday. I'm thinking of these women. I'm thinking of all the amazing new women of color that we're learning about, Stacey Abrams, all these people that are out there, and they're so good, so smart. So, we're essentially done. I just have to get I don't know, I grew up on Winnie the Pooh, A.A. Milne, And Winnie the Pooh lived in the 100-acre wood. You would know that. Anyway, the 100-acre wood was based on an actual forest that A.A. Milne lived near, Ashdown Forest in East Sussex. And I just wanted to say, when I saw this headline, it got me so upset. The 100-acre wood was just in flames yesterday in Sussex. 2 different wildfires engulfed it. And they're struggling right now in England with a bunch of wildfires because it was the warmest winter day in, I think, their history. Is that possible? Yeah. Ouch! Ouch! Warmest. Anyway, they say Winnie the Pooh's house is on fire because of climate change. Damn it. I mean, I know we've got to understand all the consequences of it, but damn, Winnie the 100-acre wood? I can't bear it. Okay, that's it. Bye. I got to go tend to my hair.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.